What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and today I am here to look back at One Championship 167, which went down over in Bangkok in Thailand in the Impact Arena. And again, it was a very, very, very good event from One Championship. I was thinking halfway through the main event, I was like, oh, this is one of those events that's really good, and then the main event lets us down. I was like, oh no, but then it absolutely turned at the almost the exact halfway point of the main event, and it delivered an absolutely fabulous main event in the Muay Thai championship fight, which we will get into now. There was 3 fights that didn't happen in this. Stam Fairtex was obviously supposed to fight against Lee Zamboanga. Zamboanga had a replacement. We'll get to that in a second. Liam Harrison and Katsui Kitano. That fight didn't happen. There was an issue with Liam Harrison on the weight cut. He put out a statement about that, about how he weighed in backstage and then he weighed in again, and the weights were different and things like that. So there was, there was weight cutting again. the bane of our sport happens again. And then the Bintai and Mauro Sorelli fight as well that fell out during the week after I had recorded my, or maybe kind of as I was recording my preview as well. But what we were left with is a really good card with a lot happened on it. You know, obviously we had the championship fight in the main event in the one lightweight championship fight. But then we had a very important set of debuts with Kade Ruotolo and the next of the Lee family, which that's probably the main event for me. How impressive Adrian Lee was. We'll get to that in a second. But then Mikey Musumeci as well. And what's happening next from Musumeci as well as Rodtang. So there was a lot of stuff on this, and a lot of we talk all the time about jeopardy in mixed martial arts, and there's a lot of fights in this, like I would say maybe 5 or 6 fights in this that either set up the next title challenger or gave us like a really good prospect to look forward to going through, and even more than that maybe. So it was a very good card and a very exciting one. And do you know what? I'm going to start at the very top and we'll go through it that way, because I'm literally just out from watching it, and it's it's very new in the memory here. So we'll get to it as we go. I think, do you know what? It's one of those cards where you come out after it and you think, there's so much. You could nearly do one podcast on the fights and then another podcast on what's next in terms of the fights, as we kind of touched on there. So let's, maybe we'll do that, for the next event. But we'll go back and we'll look on the fights here, and I'll run through them for you. So if you didn't see them, so in the main event, Tawanchai versus Joe Nattawut. Obviously with the belt on the line, with Tawanchai being the champion. These two fought recently, and Tawanchai won it, and Nattawut came in here, I suppose, as the underdog again, and he looked at early, to be honest. It was one of those fights that was a very slow pace, but with the champion just having the better of the pace. We see that a lot in championship fights, and sometimes, those, whether it's MMA or whatever sport it is, those are the sort of fights you often see, go 5 rounds and it's 50-45 or it's 49-46 type of fights. We all know the ones where it's clear early the championship fighter is just the better fighter in kind of all areas. And that's kind of what it looked like here with Tawanchai. Now, Joe Nattawut was throwing some stuff early. He was throwing some head kicks, but Tawanchai landed a hard body kick, and in a second and in a third early in the fight. And I really thought that kind of set the stall, because he was throwing those shots and landing them, whereas Nattawut was throwing the shots. I mentioned the head kick he threw. He kind of quarter landed, you might say, whereas the Tawanchai shots were completely landing. Now, they weren't big knockout blows or anything like that, but they were nice, good scoring shots. And that was kind of the difference there throughout the first round. Lovely body kick from Tawanchai, I mentioned, an elbow from Tawanchai as Nattawut entered the pocket. So again, there was another fight where that sort of thing happened in maybe a more clear way that stopped an opponent from winning the fight, which we'll get to in a few minutes. But that's what happened here in the first round. Nattawut did land a nice inside leg kick, but everything he was landing in the first 2 rounds was just answered by a body kick from Tawanchai. Joan landed a body punched in, and that was answered again. There was a lovely exchange. Nattawut landed a head kick, or threw a head kick again, kind of half landed, but then there was 2 hard kicks from Tawanchai, and he was just landing better and definitely took that first round. The second round was it was a slow pace to start round 1, but it kind of got going. I feel like it was a slow pace throughout round 2. Leg kicks from both 3 or 4 times in a row to start the round. A lovely left hand from Tawanchai. Leg kicks for both, a body kick from Nattawut in the middle of the round, but very little landing. I was literally kind of taking down notes for every shot that was landing in these, these Muay Thai fights and stuff, just to kind of, because sometimes it's hard, especially when I'm more of the MMA guy. Sometimes it's hard to like decipher the tactics of these fights until you maybe write it all down and kind of look at it afterwards. There was just, especially in the second round, I'd love to go back. I'd love to actually have the numbers of the amount of punches versus kicks thrown. It felt like it was a real kick fest in this one. And when I say kick fest, I actually don't mean that at all. I mean like they were kicking and not punching, but they weren't even kicking that much. So it was, it was almost like, it was an opponent here and he was making it easy on the champion a little bit, right? But that quickly changed, I think, in the third round. The third started, they were kind of missing kicks again. You're kind of thinking, right, here we go again. It's kind of going to be, this kind of trail to the 5 rounds. But then Nattawut landed a big right hand, and finally, I've written in my notes, finally a good punch. Finally, a good punch landed in this fight, and it turned the whole fight. Joe was going forward, landed a lovely leg kick, then landed a right hand, and then he landed this 5-punch combination, which really got him going on the front foot. He's just way better coming forward, landing lovely kicks, and Tawanchai was just landing nothing at this stage. Joe lands in the clinch. They exchange late, but definitely a Joe Nattawut round. The fourth round then, it was like the first round where they were both throwing, and Tawanchai was clearly landing the better. The start of the fourth, they were both throwing, and Joe Nattawut was clearly landing better. He landed a head kick. Again, not clean, but he landed it. A body kick from Tawanchai was like one of the first shots he got back, but still in all, there was a low blow there from Joe, which helped a little bit slow the pace a little bit, but there was a massive exchange pretty quickly after that pace slowed there. Post a bit of a clinch. Tawanchai rocked Joe a bit then, and you could see him kind of coming back into a little bit, but then Joe right hand in an exchange was a lovely shot. Tawanchai landed a leg kick, Joe left hook, both landed to the body, but again, in my opinion, and I think most people watching, the better shots were landed by Joe Nattawut in that round. So in the fifth round, 2-2, you come into that round thinking Joe Nattawut, okay, a little bit of a better fourth round for Tawanchai, but Nattawut had all the momentum coming in here, and he let it go. He was just holding back. I about 15-20 seconds into this round, I just wrote in my notes, stupid. You're winning. You changed the way you were fighting mid-fight, and it made you win. And now you're changing again to go back to the losing formula, and it just did not work. Straight away, Tawanchai landed a lovely combination. Now, Joe was landing back. He landed a knee to the body, and he landed a right hand, and then he landed a nice head kick. But Tawanchai was answering those shots back and maybe slightly landing harder. It was more even in this round than any of the other rounds, no doubt about it. But Tawanchai landed a lovely elbow on the break. He landed a high kick. There was a leg kick by Joe and then a right hand by Joe. Late left hand by Tawanchai, I think, made the difference here. It was all to play for in the last minute or so, and I think the biggest shot in that last minute was that left hand from Tawanchai. And he ended up getting the win. by majority decision in the end. I'd love to see the cards. I'd love to see which rounds went where and how it became a majority decision, in fact. But you would think it'd be a split decision. I don't think it was a 10-8 round there and there anyhow. But Tawanchai retains his title and wins. And do you know what? I think it was just about the right decision. I think that 5th round will be one of those rounds. If you're Joe Nattawut, you look back in years to come and think, what was I doing? Why did I change it up? Why did I not keep going forward? Now, it might have been a cardio issue or something like that, but it didn't seem so. It looked like he had enough left in the tank to win that round, and he just held himself back a little bit, and that's what champions do, and a great win for Tawanchai, who held on. Then we had a kickboxing bout between Rodtang and Denis Puric, which was really exciting. This was a really fun one. Rodtang started out with some leg kicks. Puric landed back with a leg kick. Puric landed a counter right hand, but Rodtang was just a little bit too fast, I think. Landed a lovely right hand. Left hook from Puric was a good shot, but then Rodtang kind of took over a little bit. He was kind of coming in and out and landing some lovely kicks. That Tonkin kick over the top that I love to see in the Muay Thai fights. He was landing here, even though this was kickboxing. Puric, again, that left hook landed, but he was missing a lot of them. He got cut in the nose in after a hard, I think it was a straight right hand. Rodtang was just faster. Puric standing, eating loads of shots late. A war and a great last minute and a half-ish of this round, but a one-sided war. You know, a little bit like... remember Melinda Sanchez back in the day, an absolute war, but we all know who was winning that. You know, Puric was attacking to start the second round, but not much landing again. Massive right hand from Rodtang and a left to the body and head by Rodtang as well. Kind of opened him up to take the lead in that round. Puric again landed the left hook, but Rodtang's step-in knee was kind of taking away that shot a little bit throughout the mid part of this fight. Puric was settling in a bit, I think, and landing better as well, though, towards the end of the second. And I do think Rodtang kind of slowed the pace, but again, that slowed pace didn't last for long. Puric landed plenty in the last minute of the round. Good combos. Rodtang landing two, but Puric better. I thought it was a close second round. Rodtang definitely won the first, close second, and the third I thought was very, very close as well. It started off with a left hook for Rodtang, but both were throwing hard. It was a combination war, and this was a real... You know, there was no clear winner of this combination war, unlike the first round. Puric landed a lovely 1-2 and then a left hook after it on the counter. But he went a bit defensive at one stage, and Rodtang adjusted and then went to kind of a little bit defensive himself too and started to kind of jab him up. And I think that's kind of maybe what got him the nod in the end. Now, that didn't last too long and kind of went into a war again where they both landed huge right hands. But you'd wonder in a round where it's like a minute of war, a minute of technique, and a minute of war. Maybe they take out the technical bit in the middle and see who won that to decipher who won the round, if the rest was even. And I think Rodtang did enough to win that. And in the end, he did win the unanimous decision. And I think that was the right decision. If Puric had won it, I wouldn't have been too mad after that. Afterwards, Rodtang absolutely broke down. He was talking about missing weight for one of his recent fights and being injured and everything like that. And he was like saying a lot of people were talking bad about him. But he's looking forward to coming back. And he called someone out as well for the next one. I can't remember who it was. Then we had the submission grappling bout. This was so fun. Mikey Musumeci versus Gabriel Sousa. Mostly for what happened afterwards, but it was pretty good too. So here's my jiu-jitsu breakdown here. Everyone tunes in for Sean Sheehan's jiu-jitsu breakdowns. Sousa got the takedown very early, but as I said in commentary, he wanted to be on top. Musumeci wanted to be on bottom, so there was no problem there. Close guard from Musumeci. Sousa pushed him against the cage. Mikey worked to an overhook then, and he went around and started attacking the leg. Mikey got the ankle lock, and he used it to take the back. But as that was happening, the calf kind of got caught up there as well. I'm sure it was done on purpose. And Mikey caught him in the calf slicer position. Now, for people like myself, and I suppose a lot of MMA people, maybe were thinking, okay, this is probably not gonna get the finish here. Maybe transition to take the back, get the rear naked choke or something like that. But no, in fact, he did latching on with the calf slicer and got the tap from Gabriel Sousa, and then hilarity ensued after that. They were kind of talking back and forth. Well, more Mikey talking to him. So they'd grappled 4 years ago or something like that, and Mikey said he had COVID at the time, and whoever was promoting it made him compete while having COVID, or maybe just after COVID or whatever. And he was saying he was sick and he lost because of that. And then he was like, oh, well, I wanted to come back and beat him. And he said that Sousa was talking a lot of crap about him between then and now. And Musumeci was then like, I'm not going to curse here, and proceeded to curse and swear literally 30 times. It was one of the funniest promos I've seen in an awful long time. And then he called out the winner of the next fight, Kade Ruotolo. Well, he didn't call him out. This was already kind of set up, but he's going to be going up. He went up one weight class for this, and he's going to be going up another 2 weight classes to take on Kade Ruotolo at, is it 180, I think? Maybe. An upcoming one card anyway. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, that promo, if you haven't seen it, absolutely worth watching. Then we had Kade Ruotolo making his pro MMA debut. And before I get into my notes here of maybe what happened, I think it was one of those fights you look at and you think, okay, this guy is, it's his first ever fight. He was doing jiu-jitsu for a very, very long time. How's he going to look on the feet? It's like, I've watched umpteen of these lads doing that. I wonder there's umpteen words that non-Irish people would know. Loads of lads doing this, and some look good and they're surprised. You say someone like Gary Tonin, and then some people just look god-awful on the feet. I would say Kade Ruotolo was somewhere in the middle. He didn't look amazing, but he didn't look bad either. I wouldn't say he was completely out of his depth. Now, there was a few of the high crazy kind of front kicks and stuff, which you need to kind of get out of your game, but I don't think he looked terrible. Now, look, was he going out looking like Alex Pereira or something like that? No, absolutely. But it's a good base to start from, and I think if we see improvements, it'll be very good. And he was comfortable on the feet. He threw his own shots. He, took a couple of shots. So I think it was good. I really think it was good for Kade Ruotolo, for an 0-0 guy. Obviously, we know how good he is on the ground, but the striking didn't look horrendous, right? It didn't look great, but didn't look horrendous. So good start. So just to run through the fight, Kade started with a big high kick that just missed. Then he landed through a nice jab. Had they exchanged kicks. There was a clinch, which Cooper did a good job of breaking out from. Kade landed a high kick on the exit, which was a lovely shot. But seemed to be a lot of kicks from Kade. Blake was very, very reticent to throw early, but then he finally threw about 2 minutes in, and he landed that left hand straight down the middle a couple of times, and he landed a counter right, which was a very nice shot. But Kade kind of quickly closed the distance at that stage, and he got the fight to the clinch. Now, Cooper initially defended well, and I was like, okay, well, he got him to the cage now like the first time, turn out, get away again. But no, he turned the wrong way, gave up his back standing, and you just don't do that against someone like Kade Ruotolo. Kade, jumped in the back, pulled him down, and rear naked choke. I thought Cooper panicked a little bit, as anyone would, and he was about to tap, I think, to like a one-handed rear naked choke. And obviously Kade Ruotolo is going to be having an unbelievable squeeze, probably even with one hand, and definitely squeeze me out, and most people, I'd say. But when you're talking about a professional fighter, I think there was a bit of panic there, but in the end, Ruotolo did get the hand loose, the hand out, and did put in the actual rear naked choke, and he didn't tap until then. So, it was a genuine one, but I think there was a bit of panic. There was definitely a bit of panic set in, and but at the same time, look, that's nothing against Kade Ruotolo, and it was a good win for him. So when he gets the fight to the ground, he's going to be an absolute demon against anyone who he fights. That really showed on this one, so he got the finish there. I'll give you the time now. It was, if I have the time, it was 3:20 of round one. The Musumeci on 3:07 of round one, and there was only one round in it. Then we have the next fight on deck was a kickboxing bout between Sitsongpeenong. I always say his name wrong. Sithichai, and Noiri. So let's run through this one. They were trading kicks early. Noiri was going forward. Sithichai was landing some combinations. Landed a lovely push kick then. and they both landed hard jabs even. It's actually written as jobs here in my notes. It must have autocorrected. And I'm like Ron Burgundy, whatever's in my notes, I read them. Sitshichai was winning off the back foot then. He landed a lovely uppercut. Jeez, his uppercuts throughout this fight. Or I think I'm a big fan of uppercuts, and God Almighty, you don't see many better than his. He landed another push kick then. He landed a straight left, and he landed a body kick, which was answered by Noiri. Noiri landed a hard right hand, but he was landing very few. Loads of close head kicks throughout the round by Sithichai. But he was Sithichai was clearly winning and a miles better the fighter. Sithichai was picking him off again in the second. Again, the uppercuts. Noiri was more aggressive. He landed a right hand and a few leg kicks, but the Sithichai combos were just too much. Lovely body kick. There was, as I said, definitely more from Noiri. Leg kicks, punches to the body, but Sithichai landing more. Body work so good. They exchanged right hooks to the body. Again, the body work from both of them was actually very good throughout this fight. Noiri was landing a hard right hand. It was his best shot of the fight and the round in the fight. But Sithichai lands 5 shots in the answer to it to win that second round. Third round, Sithichai loads of knees to the body. 1-2 and an uppercut then from Sithichai was the combination of the fight for me. Lovely shots. Noiri landed a nice right hand, and he landed another one, but Sithichai was just controlling him. Noiri had no answer. I wrote my notes here. It was the master versus the student. It really, really was that, and an easy win for Sithichai. Really, he won the unanimous decision there. Then we had another Muay Thai fight between Denis Samwanga and Noel Grandjean. Again, this was a little bit like the master versus the student here. Anyone who has listened to my previews, who's watched Noel Grandjean knows, she's as game as the day is long, but just not good enough here. Samwanga landed a jab. Noel landed a few leg kicks. She tried to counter, but no good. Just not tall enough, not classy enough. And Samwanga was very classy. She had a lovely right hand, and a lot of them. She just couldn't miss throughout the first part of the round. Noel landed one right hand, but missed loads. She was off on a takedown, but did land a nice right hand. After that, Samwanga, her combinations led to her pulling her down in the clinch and then taking her back after they got to the ground. The arm was trapped to stop the choke, and she stayed in her back then after a lovely transition. And the arm was trapped initially, then got out. Then there was a beautiful transition where Samwanga stayed in her back, and she got the choke in literally as the time in the first round was going out, and didn't end up getting the finish. Straight shots from Samwanga started the second round, picking them more now, and she was moving her head. Noel's kicks low and high were pretty good in the second, but still just not good enough. Lots of jabs from can't say the word jabs today from Samwanga. She nearly got caught backing up multiple times, but never did. And when fighters do that, they mentioned her, and I'm glad they mentioned it. They mentioned her footwork, but her footwork and her head movement, fantastic. Noel ended up landing eating a massive right hand after it, and that's so tough. The fight I was actually talking about earlier on, this wasn't it, but this was the same again. You're struggling to land, and then you make a decision to kind of go at them, and then they actually land on you. What are you supposed to do in that stage, Samwanga, she was just touching her. Jab, 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 touch. And then the right hand the odd time. She was the matador. Samwanga stopped the takedown towards the end of the round. Just too short to get, her hands were not long enough to box with God kind of thing. And Samwanga was the god of this fight. Third round in, she just jabbed her up because she knew that Noel couldn't reach her and she couldn't take her down. And she was so comfortable with that. She literally was just like, and Grandjean as well, she just could not cut off the cage. She just couldn't do it. And she has been good at doing that before now. A lot of her fights as well have been in the ring. And I wonder, fighting in the ring definitely suits her more, but I wonder the adjustment to fighting back in a cage caused her a little bit of problems as well. I think there might be something to that. But she did land a nice head kick at one stage as Zamboanga bent down. It was like the DC John Jones when she bent down. It was a left head kick. Lovely shot from Noel Granger. As I said, game all day. But Zamboanga just ate it. And jabs and 1-2s until the end. And Zamboanga won. I believe it was a unanimous decision, wasn't it? It was indeed. Then we had the most exciting fight of the night for me, and it was a one-sided fight, but Adrian Lee, this guy is something else. I'll tell you what. As people might know here, I cover a lot of Irish MMA and local MMA, and kind of, people making their MMA debuts, or the cream of the crop in cage warriors coming through from 0-0 to 10-0, 15 or whatever. I don't know, have I ever seen someone like, okay, some people are saying kind of Bone Nickel and Brock Lesnar maybe, and people like that, who don't have like this highly decorated background in another martial art, say like even like a Annie Z or a Alex Pereira or whatever. An 0-0 fighter as good as Adrian. I don't think I've ever seen one. The last one to stand out to me as much as this was Acela Juge, who's now, I think, what is he, like 10-1 or something like that. Actually, his fight, I can't remember who he fought, but he was on. I actually think he lost that fight. But him and his opponent, one SPG guy, one Team Rhino guy, and both of those guys really stood out. But that was the last time I looked at an 0-0 fight. Not Jesus, these next level here. But Adrian Lee, I think, has surpassed that, and that this is 5 years later, maybe. So there's no shock in that, maybe. But holy. If you didn't see Adrian Lee, take my word from it. I don't usually blow up about mad prospects like this. Very, very, very few. Norbert Navinia Jr. is one of them. Akbar, out of Akbar Abdullayev out of one championship. Mark Ewan is another guy. But very few I blow up about. Paul Hughes. But Adrian Lee, oh my God. He was so good. He looked so calm on the feet and on the ground. He didn't look like he was ever going to blow out in terms of cardio or anything like that. His opponent, had a few fights in him before. God almighty, he was brilliant. Really good. Let's run through the fight. Lee came out swinging, hurt him with a jab. Tried to take down, didn't get it initially, then got to the clinch. And this to me was the first thing that really impressed me, because sometimes that happens and you give up on it and you go back striking. Nah. Stayed in there, body lock takedown, got into half guard, knees to the body. An 0-0 guy, you'd nearly forget that you could do the knees to the body, but no, he was landing them, knees to the head. Kind of went for the anaconda, but got back up, but it landed knees with that. Let go of it, and then he was just so smooth on the feet. There was no adrenaline dump or anything like that, which you think there would be. Dipped under for a takedown, up into the clinch. Nice shots from the right position. Again, something which you don't see from like Grant Dawson fighting next week or last week in a similar position, just wasn't landing those shots. But this 0-0 guy is, by God. Body lock takedown again, reverse triangle Americana late. Whew. Oh, Jesus. Then we had a trip takedown. So we had a normal takedown, body lock takedown, trip takedown, all in the space of 6 minutes. Got into half guard, got back up though, landed a lovely jab and a lovely right hand. Trip after a double leg, then got into half guard, landed some elbows, took the back, and he rear naked choked him. Now, I'd like to apologize to Antonio Mammarella. I didn't mention any of his offense, simply because I don't think there was any. This was an absolute destruction for Adrian Lee. I know the Lee family, they've had a tough time over the last while after brilliant years and years in one championship. But by God, have they something to look forward to on this guy. Oh my God. I can't talk highly enough. I was so impressed with Adrian Lee. So impressed. And I'm looking forward to this. I know for a fact this is a guy I'll be watching for the next decade at least. This guy is different class. Brilliant fighter. And he's 1-0 now. And I would put money on it that he'd probably be 10-0 and maybe 15-0 come the next few years. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Right, we did another young man who made his debut here and didn't go as well for him. Joe Galazzi took on Win Tran Dunat, and it was the opposite of Adrian Lee, where it was all kind of tight and devoid of confident, more faked confidence, kind of like I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do it, but it never happened. Let's run through the fight. He was going forward, landing some leg kicks, landing a straight right, but Win was answering with his leg kicks of his own. Johan was reaching a bit, but both were landing, but it's one of those fights you look at and you think Galazi's going forward mad and he's throwing all these mad shots, but his opponent, who's kind of fighting conservatively off the back foot, is actually landing just as much. Not great, and that's even when it was going well for him. Win was landing good counters, lovely jab though by Johan. He was landing shots. Don't get me wrong here, it wasn't by any means a blowout or anything like that. But Win was landing nice inside leg kicks from the back foot. Eventually, Johan landed a big straight right. He knocked out Win's mouthpiece. At that stage, you're thinking, okay, maybe this bluster will turn into something real now in the second round. And it just kind of didn't. There was a clinch off of a wild throw where no one landed anything, and then Jojo was kind of more restrained, and I thought he looked a little bit better when he got more restrained. Just calmed down a little bit. He landed a lovely right hand, but Win was landing more counters, and more punches off the counters now, as well as the inside leg kicks. They exchanged body kicks, but the tide was turning, and Jojo looked tired in the midpoint of that second round, and he lost his confidence. And the head kicks from Win late were very, very good. So I thought One took that round. Jojo probably took the first round, so it's probably 1-1 going into the third. But Win was all Win in the third round. He landed 2 hard leg kicks, dropped him with 1, although it didn't count. Both landed some hard jobs. Then cost. The referee asked Win to come forward. I'm like, he's winning this fight off the back foot. Will you go away and just stand there and watch the fight? Like, get away. You've nothing got to do with this. Let him fight. But anyway, Win was kicked him low twice, and there was no warning or no stoppage for the first, but there was for the second. But anyway, Win landed some leg kicks around that. Then landed with a few hands late, and then a 1-2 late as well. And I thought he won because of that, just the late barrage from him, but I think he was ahead anyway, and he did win. He won the unanimous decision there, deservedly so, and it's back to the drawing board for Jojo after that one. Submission of the year contender in the Itsuki Hirata versus Vittoria Sousa fight. This fight was very, very quick and ended in 1:31 of the very first round. Nice 1-2 from Sousa to start the fight, landed some nice leg kicks as well. I picked Hirata coming in here and I thought she'd win, but Sousa very much dominated the early goings. It was only 91 seconds, but still she dominated the fight. As I said, 1-2 low kicks, right hand, and another 1-2 from Sousa started the fight, and then a low kick, and then Hirata landed a jab, but there was a leaping right hand from Hirata, which was a good shot, but I think she knew she was struggling a little bit and she went for a takedown. Now, Sousa stopped the initial takedown. Usually when someone wins by guillotine and they pull a guillotine, they get it from the takedown. But there was a takedown attempt, she stopped it, and then she went for the guillotine. Which, shows she obviously knew she was going to go for it, and it was an obvious attack that she wanted to set up. And she did, jumped the guillotine, and she slept her. Very good stoppage from Herb Dean. I give her plenty of stick, but this was a great one for him. But brilliant win for Victoria Sousa. She was the underdog coming in here. Hirata, obviously in the rankings and everything like that, but Sousa will overtake her now, and she's another contender in that division. So really, really good stuff for her there. The opening bout of the night then was a Muay Thai bout between Johan Estepinian and Zafar Saik. Johan started with a flying kick. Saik was good in the clinch. Johan's body kicks and leg kicks were good, plus he landed a few counters and a straight left, and he was kind of switching stances then, but Johan dropped him with a huge straight right hand, and the knockdown was given. There was another couple after that, and he landed a right hand. The knockdown wasn't given. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I dropped him with a jab. There's lovely kicks to the body. Johan nearly drops him again, but Saik pulls him down with kind of seconds left to save himself. Johan got wild in the second round, and Zahir caught him with a right hook. The right hand of him, Zafir, then was really, really nice after that. But Johan started keeping his distance a little bit more, trying to pick him off. Nice straight left and head kick, but he got kind of slammed off of it. Clear Johan round, but landing much, much less here. And in the third, then he was kind of picking him off from the outside, kept safe. And this was the fight I was talking about, like that he knew he could pick him off from the outside. And every time that Zafir came in, Johan was landing either the jab or a shot inside or an uppercut or whatever it might be. So he knew he'd beat him from the outside, and he knew he couldn't get in on the inside. So Zafir kind of just took his bait and late in that round, I think. No, he kept trying, but everyone knew who was winning that fight. Kept safe towards the end. Stopped putting out much offense and just picked him off and won the unanimous decision 30-27 there. So Johan Estepinian won that one. All right, everyone, that is the whole card for me. Really, really good stuff. As always, enjoy these one championship cards and enjoy recapping them for you lovely people out there. If you enjoyed this, I'm here at 6 a.m. in the morning. 6 a.m. in the morning. I hate when people say that. 6 a.m. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. Leave a comment in the comment section below. It all helps. And that would be absolutely great. So, doesn't cost anything to do it. So, I will leave it there. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.